and sheltering in a safe location because this is very strong wind compared to what we could normally see. We're going to be monitoring as well for anything like power outages, for anything that could be happening along area roadways as well. There's a lot going on within that cell as it continues to move a little further eastward. And we still have several of those warnings. We have one for Lenawee that you can see right there. We have another one for Monroe County. Those go here until we've got 3:30 for Lenawee, 4 o'clock for Monroe. Washtenaw, that destructive tag severe thunderstorm warning, that goes until 3:30. And then we've got another one again for Livingston, and that goes until 4 o'clock. And that's the main reason that we're on here again for that. It's because of how strong that one in Washtenaw County is. And you can see from a wider view right here that bowing shape to it. Can you see how that's set up, how this is almost kind of pulsing out ahead of the main line? That pulse right there really shows how strong those winds can really pick up out ahead of it. It's really gained so much additional strength in that heat, that humid air that we're holding on to, that it's had that chance to outrun ahead of some of those storms. And that's the real issue that we're looking at within this main part. So things that you need to do as the severe thunderstorm line is moving in. You need to make sure that you're indoors, first and foremost. You need to. We had an issue this week already where somebody had been struck by lightning because they were outside. You need to be inside. Lightning out ahead of this line of storms is happening as far as 10 miles outside of where it's raining. You need to make sure you're indoors. If you are in front of this line as well, if you have any outdoor plans or you're planning on driving, don't. The wind with this line is much stronger than that average amount, especially again in Washtenaw County, where we're looking at the whole reason we're here right now is because of that strong straight line wind risk of up to 80 miles per hour. That's why this warning has been issued. It's not something that we normally see, and that's the update that we got in from Washtenaw of 80 miles per hour for that wind gust for the severe warned storm. Brand new warning just came down. Wayne County right here, you can see that's another one that just came down here, Wayne County, looking at some 60-mile-an-hour winds. The hope, the expectation is that this area of stronger wind has a chance to calm down before it moves into western Wayne County. And that's going to be the key because this is heading for areas like Ypsilanti. You've got Ypsilanti, Canton. You've got areas a little closer to Westland, Wayne, that are all going to have to deal with this. Plymouth, all looking at that main line of stronger wind, likely moving in your direction very shortly. So let's take another look at actually what we call the velocity data, seeing where that strongest wind currently is within the storm, and that's what you see right here. You can see a lot of stronger wind, especially within the cell right here, moving just to the north of where 23 and 14 intersect right there, right? That little stretch. A lot of merging happens within that spot. Can't imagine what that would be like in a lot of the stronger wind gusts within that section. Let's see. So that dot, where that has been really moving through, if we trace that out, some of the stronger wind gusts will likely end up in the Salem area within about the next 20 minutes. So if you're in Salem, that's where you need to make sure you're also sheltering because you're included in that severe thunderstorm warning for the new one that's continuing to move eastward. But that stronger wind is really going to be a concern within it. And again, a reminder, these storms now have a history of two things. One, the cell moving into Livingston County and through it right now has a history of rotating. It's not tornado warning at the moment, but it has a history of being able to rotate. Ingham County had a tornado warning. That has since been canceled. Livingston County, still a strong storm moving through. Washtenaw County, now a history of much greater than baseline severe winds. And that's what we have to watch for very, very closely. And also within that as well, something that if we can check a little bit on, see if any of the updates from DTE came in around central western Washtenaw. See if anything new might be coming in from there, because that's where some of the strongest winds came in. So we're going to check on some of those and see if we've got any updates just coming in on the outage map from DTE and see if we've got any info there for you. But we want to stick with this storm until it breaks from this tag. So this is why it's so important. This one word, the word destructive. About 3 years ago, the National Weather Service put out a new release for severe thunderstorm warning guidance because they get muddled quite a bit. Severe thunderstorm warnings, you need 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts in order to be severe. And when that happens, obviously you get that severe thunderstorm warning. But you can get so much stronger wind, especially when you get a segment that looks like this. It looks like a bow, and it's rushing out ahead of that line toward areas around Canton as well. That's going to be something that really we need to keep an eye on very, very closely. Now, as we get further into this here, that line moving eastward with the 80-mile-an-hour wind gusts as well, yeah, it looks like it's going to be moving right toward that area also. That's a big spot we need to watch for also within that line. So I'm trying to get a couple bits of updated info on some of that, because while that moves eastward, the last bit we need to watch closely, another storm chaser within there. So some of the things we're looking at, by the way, I've got another storm chaser that's on this line as well, and he said it's just wicked wind within that line. That's going to move its way east. Washtenaw County, again, destructive is the current tag on it for very strong straight line winds of up to 80 miles per hour. Wayne County, currently going until 4 o'clock, and that one is for 60-mile-an-hour winds. So once the storm here gets a chance to calm down below the destructive limits, we'll be able to let you go. But we can't do that yet. Not until this thing gets a chance to break a little bit more. But it really is heading toward the eastern or the western portion there of Wayne County. And those 80-mile-an-hour winds really haven't had a chance to calm down just yet. That's going to be a very big issue that we need to watch over the next couple of minutes. Because while that line moves eastward toward 275 and Michigan Avenue right there, and that whole stretch of 275, by the way, is all still under construction. So that's going to be a lot of people that are going to be stuck in this. If you're going to be traveling on 275, or you have a relative or a family member, friend, whoever it is, that's likely traveling on 275 between 94 and we'll say 96. So I know that's a smaller stretch, but you got Ann Arbor Trail, you've got Ford Road, Michigan Avenue, all of those crossovers there. If you're anywhere in that area, make sure that they're just kind of trying to pull over to the side, let the storm blow through, because that strong wind is really going to be an issue. All right, looks like we've got an update here. The Washtenaw County warning. Did that get another update?
Yeah, so we have considerable right now as the tag for Washtenaw. That's 70-mile-per-hour winds right now. And something else to think about, too, with all these storms are moving rather quickly, too. They are moving at about 50 to 55 miles per hour. So they are moving very fast through the area.
Were they going directly eastward still, or were they giving it that southeast track?
They're still moving eastward at about 55, the one in Washtenaw County.
All right, so what we'll do, it's down to the considerable, but before we let you go, let's time out this line. And you said one more time, what was the speed? You said 50?
55.
55, all right. So let's give this a wider view, and we can time out this line for everybody that's going to be in the path for this before we actually give a chance to let you go, because we're down a little bit in strength. So that makes me feel a lot better. So we can bring this out to 55. Let's bring it right to 55 right there. So some of the estimated arrival times: Canton within the next 5 to 10 minutes, Livonia right at about the 15-minute mark from now, Dearborn by about 20 to 25 minutes from now, Detroit within the next 25 to 30 minutes. So that's going to be that timeline. Warren also by about the next 30 to 35 minutes, Clinton Township within the next 3/4 hour, and then Chesterfield just before the turn of the hour. So that's going to be where this line is going to be moving through within that time frame. So something that we have to watch for with it.
And we do have a severe thunderstorm warning for Oakland as well until 4:15.
All right, so Oakland also just went severe right here. Let's check out the tag on this one. So 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts. Do we have anything at the destructive tag still?
We do not, that I am saying.
We're down to considerable. Okay, good. So we're right with that. So what we're going to be able to do then, because we've got this really strong line. The thing is, though, there's a pretty good history with this line of storms, especially with how strong it is. You know what, we're going to stick with this here for another couple of minutes because that line is still really, really strong. We don't want to let you go and then have to jump back on unexpectedly, especially not with how strong that line of wind really is along with it. That Washtenaw storm still at that considerable strength. Now that means 70 miles per hour is a concern within there, while Wayne County is down to that 60-mile-an-hour mark. So a lot of good news with that as it continues to move east. So we're going to give Washtenaw County a chance for that to move a little further east here, which is doing right there. We're going to take another dive in, looking at the wind speeds here with it too, because again, the whole reason that we've been on here is that these are above regular severe strength. We wouldn't be breaking into your programming if it wasn't something that needed it. The fact that we're looking at 80-mile-per-hour chances, or even down now to 70-mile-per-hour chances, that's still 10 miles per hour well above a normal baseline severe thunderstorm. And that's what we're looking at right here. So a lot of these bright greens still moving their way through. East now of Ann Arbor, heading toward the Canton area, Plymouth, Salem. You're likely going to see some of the stronger winds here shortly. That cell, to be honest, with the way that that is looping its way through, I bet with that one curving its way up, if you're in Farmington Hills or Southfield, that cell, that stronger wind is likely going to move right over top of you, probably within the next 30 minutes or so. So that's something we're going to have to watch for, is that strong wind moves its way further up to the northeast. We're going to keep an eye on that one. Something we haven't had a chance to really check on is hail. Now, for better or worse, the forecast this afternoon is most definitely coming true with strong winds, that primary concern. Hail, not something that's really there too much. But again, we have warnings now for Lenawee, for Monroe, eastern Washtenaw, Wayne, Livingston, and Oakland counties. And I would not be surprised to see Macomb get a severe warning here probably within the next, we'll say, 30 to 40 minutes. It's going to take some time for it to move through Oakland, but notice the line itself really hasn't moved into Oakland County yet, and they've warned it that far ahead of time because of how strong these winds are historically with this line of storms. That's what you need to know, that as this thing moves eastward, you need to be indoors. So all of Monroe County, get inside. This line is moving quickly. Karen was just saying 55 miles per hour. We've been seeing that still really roll its way through further to the east as well. That wind speed, of course, of 70 to near 80 miles per hour with a couple of these warnings has been a big issue. We're down to maybe about 60 still for a couple of the others, especially Livingston moving into Oakland County. But that's another one that we have to watch very quickly as we go further into it. Do we have any of the DTE updates? Did we get anything in from them? Just a few here and there?
Just a few, not an overabundance.
Gotcha. Perfect. Cool. All right. So we've got just a few still rolling their way through parts of Washtenaw County. We'll probably get some more updates here in just a little bit on some of those stronger wind gusts. But taking one last look at the wind before we let you go, because we don't want to have to come back without that. But that wind is still looks very strong within that northeastern part of Washtenaw County. That's going to be moving. Let's see if we can get a real close look. So the Villa Bar Art Park, by the way, in southwest Oakland County, probably right around the Novi Ice Arena, Deerfield Elementary outside there in Novi as well, just south of Wixom Road. That area is where some of the stronger winds are going to move in here very, very shortly. So those are some of the spots we need to watch here over the next couple of minutes as that moves up further to the northeast. Wixom, South Lyons, and some of that right now, but the main part we're looking at is this section of stronger rainfall and heavier wind, because you see right here, we've got it downgraded, so we're down from destructive to considerable. That means that we're looking at strong straight line wind still, but not quite up to the level that it was a little earlier. So we're down to 70 rather than the 80 mile an hour mark. So at least a little bit of progress with some of that. But a couple of those warnings that we're looking at right here, moving further eastward, a lot of lightning with it. So we're now looking at the main line. It's lined up right with 275. If you're planning to travel there, just don't. Actually, if you're going to be planning to go down 24, so Telegraph, if you've got that long stretch of Telegraph through all of Wayne County, all the way up to Southfield, so Southfield all the way down to Brownstown, we'll say, if you're looking to travel on Telegraph through that entire stretch, hold off for at least the next 40 minutes, because we do not want you on the road within that line as it starts to move eastward. Do we have another update?
That's right. No, I was going to mention, though, Lenawee and Monroe counties, we have those, Lenawee and Washtenaw counties, we have those in effect until 3:30.
Okay.
With Lenawee County, moving into Monroe counties and that, there is also a marine warning. It's been a really warm day out there today. If people have been out on the beach or are out in the water, it's a good time, definitely, to come on in and take some shelter there, too.
And I think there's the yacht club as well down there in Luna Pier. So if you know anybody that's out on the water or out on the beach, like Karen was just saying, get them back to shore and get them inside quickly. Give them a call. It doesn't hurt to give them a call. If you yourself are out on the beach and you're watching our live stream, by the way, please make sure that you also are heading to some safe shelter as well, because that's something you do not want to be in the middle of. We saw a video from St. Joseph earlier.
Right.
About that.
Right, and now is the time to do it, not when the storms actually get to you, but before they get to you. And we're already seeing some storms, of course, in Lake Erie now too, but the marine warning goes all the way up the river as well into St. Clair. And if you are on St. Clair, we can see where those storms are going. They're traveling east. Yeah. So it's a good idea there to make sure that if you have family members or friends who might be boating on St. Clair, now is the time to get in, because we can see these storms traveling eastward, and they're traveling, you know, between 45 to 55 miles per hour. So it gives them a lot of extra time now to get in and to get some safety. Yeah, and especially like we were just saying with Lake St. Clair, I mean, it really has been a gorgeous day up until now. I mean, so within that spot, you're looking at within the next, 35, 40 minutes tops, that it's going to be moving right over the water and over the beaches. Pretty quick. Very, very quick. So please make sure you're heading indoors, you're taking shelter as well. Also, another note, with that being said, if you are somebody that's within one of these warnings and you happen to lose power, if you're watching us and you happen to lose power, you can still get us on your smart device, on the CBS News app, or on Pluto TV, or on our website, cbsdetroit.com. If you lose power, you can still pick us up on those signals. We are live there right now, so you can catch us on any of those in case you lose power and you have to take shelter. So if you have to move away from your TV, those are all safe spaces or safe areas to watch in case you need to be able to, get away from windows with how strong some of these winds really, really are. And I want to mention again, last week we had baseball-size hail, something that is very rare for Southeast Michigan. Today, we have now had a severe thunderstorm warning that hit what's called the destructive tag. That is also very rare for Southeast Michigan. We have a lot of fuel for storms here, and this line has really now had a history of very strong straight line winds and also potentially rotating activity. Ingham County had a tornado warning not half an hour ago. So that's an issue that also has been happening with some of the areas along the line. So we're going to keep an eye out for some of those. Let's see. Do we still have just the one Washtenaw warning that's at the considerable tag? So, okay. Yes. So all the other ones are at baseline now. So I'm going to take one quick look again at where some of this rotation is, or lack of rotation rather, where some of the straight line winds are. And they're down to a little more baseline. So that's the good news. Now we'll check and make sure that we're not looking at anything rotating. We're also good there. All right, so with that being said then, we're down to kind of a more run-of-the-mill severe risk here. Within the next 30 to 40 minutes, the line is going to move eastward. So make sure, again, that you are indoors, you're away from windows, you're taking shelter away from windows. Obviously, you don't want to be on the beach, don't be on the water. If you know somebody that is, get them indoors now, because this line moves fast. But because we're down to a baseline, I think it's safe for us to actually give you a little bit of a break then. So make sure, again, you know the line's coming. Make sure you're indoors. But for now, we'll be back if we need to, but for now, we're going to send you back then to regular programming. We have severe weather moving through the area. I'll tell you what you can expect over the next few hours coming up.
Plus, we're gearing up for tomorrow's Miller hearing for the Oxford school shooter. We'll go through the process and explain where you can watch that court appearance. And there's a building in the Cass Corridor that is set to be demolished, but now there is a last-ditch effort to save it. We'll explain today.
On air and streaming live. CBS News Detroit at 4 starts now.
Thanks for joining us for CBS News Detroit at 4. I'm Terrence Friday. We are checking in with Karen for a look at the forecast. Karen, I understand we have a tree down outside of our studio. That weather moving in very quickly.
Yes, there are actually quite a few trees and branches, limbs down all over the area. We've had some very strong winds throughout Metro Detroit as we've been seeing these showers and thunderstorms moving through the area. Some severe thunderstorm warnings have been in effect and are still in effect. Take a look outside right now. We're still seeing those stormy skies out there, and you can see the severe thunderstorm watch. All of the pink area, so all of our viewing area is under this watch until 7 o'clock. Now, we still have some areas of severe thunderstorm warnings, and that's mainly through Oakland, also through St. Clair and Macomb counties. So we are seeing through Oakland County until 4:15, through Macomb County until 4:30, and through St. Clair County until 5 o'clock. We're still watching these storms moving through the area. So we're going to continue to see these storms move through. Then the second round of storms are going to move through shortly after that. These storms in the second round could still be be severe. And so we're going to continue to stay here and watch these storms progress throughout the evening. Your whole Next Weather team is here watching these storms. We'll finally see these moving out late tonight. But with these storms, of course, we are expecting those damaging winds, and we could expect some isolated tornadoes too. Also, some hail and some flooding along with that too. So keep it right here. We will continue to monitor these storms. We'll talk more about the storms throughout this evening and what's coming next after the storms in your next weather forecast. And also we've been told too to avoid Huron River. There's a power line in the river too, so avoid the river, of course. Not really a great time anyway to be out on the water with those showers and storms moving through the area. Of course, lightning is a big factor. Here's a look right now at our radar. We are still seeing some severe thunderstorm warnings in Lapeer until 4:45. We have St. Clair until 5 o'clock. We have Oakland here until 4:15, and we also have Macomb until 4:30. So we're still watching those storms moving through the area here just north of Waterford and then just right through Macomb, down through Clay Township. And you can see it now finally moving out into the water there as well and into Lake Erie as well. So we are still seeing those storms moving through. They are packing a punch in terms of not only the rain, which can cause some flooding. We've already been seeing some flooding on the streets. Also, some very strong winds as well. There are many reports of trees down and limbs down across the area. We're seeing some hail and, of course, all of the lightning there, too. We are going to continue to monitor these storms because there is still a chance of severe weather. Now, we have been downgraded. Now we have the slight chance. Earlier today, we had the enhanced chance of severe weather. Now we have the slight risk of severe weather still throughout the rest of this evening. Tomorrow, we are going to be dry. And then as we head into Friday, we have a marginal chance, so another chance of severe weather. We are going to expect, we're watching that line of showers and storms moving out now, but we are expecting more showers and storms to move in over the course of the next few hours. We still have a tornado watch in effect until 7 o'clock. That means the conditions are right for isolated tornadoes to happen. We are going to continue to watch these storms moving through. Some of these could, again, be severe throughout this evening, and we'll finally see it pushing out, I'd say, by around 11 o'clock. We could still have some lingering showers in the area overnight, but we should see drier conditions by tomorrow morning. Clouds will decrease through the day tomorrow. More sunshine tomorrow afternoon. Dry conditions tomorrow. So a break from the storms. Our next chance of showers and storms are going to move in then on Friday afternoon and evening. We'll finally see those come to an end by Saturday morning. So we're going to have a break from the action tomorrow. Still, for today, we will expect the threats to be a chance for isolated tornadoes, wind damage, hail, and flooding, too. We are going to see some very heavy rainfall from all of these storms through today. Taking a look at my Motor City meter, I'm going to give tomorrow a 3. It's going to be hot. It's going to be humid. We are going to expect very soupy-like conditions out there, even worse than today. 70 degrees our overnight low. Showers and storms will come to an end later tonight. We'll see dry conditions throughout the overnight hours, and then we'll see a high of 90 degrees tomorrow with clouds decreasing. It's going to feel like the mid-90s tomorrow, and it's going to feel closer to 100 on Friday as we are going to have storms in the afternoon lasting through the overnight, ending Saturday morning. Much cooler temperatures for the weekend and even into next week. Much less humidity as well, and more sunshine and dry conditions too.